Hey, it's Craig. In my pond, my fire. There's a dog. Standing here by myself because it's cold, so Laura won't come out here. I'm doing my pond talk. I get out here and I talk a lot to myself on my phone, and then I usually just delete it. But it gives me something to do and somebody to talk to, so that's good. Really enjoy it. So far, I haven't really talked back to myself, but I guess in a way I am right now. So, okay. But anyway, I like to talk about current events, stuff that's going on. I don't know. It used to be in the olden days, you see those little old men at the mall or whatever, or just any men, especially in the olden days, like prior to the 60s. Like men would get together and talk about whatever was going on in the world, and men were knowledgeable about what was going on in the world and interested in it, and in most cases influencers of it, especially like educated men. So they would get together and talk about stuff. But the weird thing in our culture is that that's not a thing anymore. If you see any men talking about anything, and if there's any hand gesturing and like it just looks really intense, like they're really talking about something, 100% of the time you go up and listen and they will be talking about their sports team or something to do with either football, basketball, or what have you. Not soccer, not here. And they're just like talking about it in first person. They're like, man, we kicked that field goal last night and ran it back for the whatever. And they talk about it as if they're on the team. And I've always thought that was so interesting, that that's the psychology now of men in our country. And not to knock anybody who's doing that or like that, because I like soccer and I like pickleball now is my thing. Used to be tennis. So, but men are passionate about like watching other men play a game. And that's one thing that I've never been really so much involved with, because I mean, I'm 50, but I still play like a lot, like too much, according to my wife. Pickleball, whatever. I used to ride mountain bikes and play ultimate frisbee, and I would try to play soccer, but I wasn't very good. And so, but I did try, and I wanted to be good at that sport more than probably anything. But I don't know. My legs can run fast, but they don't really move in all different directions like quickly. I found out. I would try to do those moves and it was just slow. So I could run fast. I'd get there to the ball, but then it wasn't necessarily the greatest thing that I did with it. That was my soccer career. But I loved it. Anyways, going back to men, why don't men get together and just, why can't you discuss religion or politics? Like, who made that rule up? That's the two most important things. I mean, right? Religion, such as God, and is there a God, and therefore, what does that mean? What does that imply to my world and worldview and how I live my life? Well, a lot, but that's not talked about. And I think that most people just, they don't believe in God. And certainly the ones who say they do, they don't really believe in God that much enough to be interested in really like having a conversation about him or theology or some truth. Isn't that weird? I got like a handful of people that I can talk about deep truth with. But most people, it's just like awkward. I don't know. Maybe it's me. I just like to talk stuff that's going on. I love to talk about current events and the war, whatever war we're in, what the implications of it are. I don't know, spiritually, biblically, if any. you can get carried away, but what is there really to talk about? I mean, because everything else superfluous. If there's God in an afterlife, and then accountability for what we do down here, if that's the reality, then that changes everything. My Facebook page says, if anything matters, everything matters. And I just thought that was a really good quote, so I put it on my Facebook page. But isn't that true? If anything matters, everything matters, because otherwise, what's up, man? Otherwise, even our laws, like don't kill or don't rape or don't steal. If there's literally no God or afterlife or accountability, what difference does it make? Am I a moral or immoral person if I were to steal? Or does it really just only come down to whether or not you get caught? So that's kind of like the quandary that I lived in all throughout my atheist years. Moral relativism. You just do what you think is best according to however that is perceived at the time that you live in. But it can shift, and it does shift, and will shift, and change. So there's really no objective truth or reality in terms of what is right. Objectively right, not subjectively. So we live in this world of subjectivism, and everything is up for grabs, and there is no absolute truth. And so therefore, no truth of who you are, even in your identity. Like the most fundamental thing that is decided for us, the most fundamental thing decided for us is we're either X or Y. We're either male or female. And so, at least in the crazy, confusing, tumultuous teenage years, where you got to figure out who you are and how you relate with people, you got to figure all that stuff out under all that pressure. And kids at that age are not nice, and it's tough. Like, that is a tough time of life. Really tough. And you gotta like take what you got given from your parents, however screwed up they might have been, and you gotta take that and formulate your worldview. Is that right, Matthew?
Yeah,
Oh man,
I'm gonna be late to work.
Going to work.
Definitely.
All right, well, put it on the turbo setting.
Yeah.
All right. Have a good one. That's my wife's nephew and our current tenant in our little Airbnb thing, flat, whatever you want to call it. So, but now there's a whole new thing that they're told they have to decide what sex they are and what they're attracted to. And that could be completely independent of their sex. They could be female, but identify as male, but then still be attracted to males. Or they could be attracted to females, or both. And my head spins and I just get confused just thinking about it. Like, holy crap. How do you make any sense of that? And apparently it can change and it can shift. And so you can be one way. What is it? Fluid? We watched the Lady Ballers. Y'all, that was, I mean, honestly, it wasn't all that funny. But the funny thing that was about it was that, I mean, they tried too hard in some of it. It was a lot of funny points, but it just wasn't like funny like some other inappropriate shows. But not that I've watched them, but I heard about them. So it was funny, but the funniest thing about it was that it wasn't even a stretch. They were making such a parody about this particular topic. And honestly, the parody part of it and how they were portraying the ridiculousness of it, I think they pulled back a little bit. I think that they pulled back on the ridiculousness of it because some of the stuff that is actually going on is even crazier than what they portrayed in the parody movie. So to me, that was just like, oh my gosh. But why can't we talk about what is politics? I mean, yeah, there's an asinineness to it, but politics is just it's how everything is done and decided. So politics is just it's what decides like how our culture and our society operates. And so it's not, I mean, it's a powerful thing. And the fact that it's taken over by lunatics and demoniacs right now is kind of a serious thing. But anyways, the whole point is that I think there's all kinds of things that could be and should be able to be talked about, but people in our culture are, I don't know, I guess too afraid to talk about stuff because they don't like any kind of negative emotions or whatever. But there's a way to talk about things under control and with intelligence. So life's kind of boring if all you do is run through a script each day and placate people. And I don't know, I just think that our culture is pretty shallow right now, and I don't want to be like that, and I have been like that, of course, too, so anything that I say can pretty much guarantee that the only reason I have any thoughts on that matter is because been there, done that. So just a little disclaimer there. Definitely not any kind of self-righteous attitude going on with me, not that I'm aware of. But anyway, this is my pond thoughts of today. So have a great evening.